Okay, so I'm going to do another knife. I'm going to sharpen another knife with the Sharpens Best, the Sharpen Spark. This is another generic, no-name fillet knife, one of the many that I bought at the thrift store. Looking at the knife just to start before I begin sharpening it, I can see imperfections on the blade itself, and I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera or not, but there already is a bit of a leading cutting edge on there, and there's some imperfections like right here. Right here I can see an imperfection, and there's one here and one here and one here and one here. So after I sharpen this, hopefully I'll make those smaller, if not eliminate them altogether. But we'll see again the paper test. Won't even cut paper at all. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to use the Sharpens Best sharpener to bring an edge back on this crappy surgical stainless Chinese made fillet knife. That hey, I'm sure will be really sharp by the time I'm done with it, and will be something I can throw in my tackle box, and who knows, maybe I'll catch a fish and fillet it, and I'll be able to do another video showing that. So being that this is a fillet knife and there is so much flex in it, again, the important thing here is that as I approach the tip, and you're going to definitely want the tip to be sharp on a fillet knife, you don't want to be putting too much pressure on this tip, with that tip being far away on your far away from your leg, because as you put pressure, it's going to flex the blade. You wanted that blade, the tip, to be closer to your body, so that as you put pressure, it's not going to flex as much. I'll start with the blade pointing away from me. The blade is perpendicular to my leg, and as I'm applying pressure, I'm going to be drawing this knife towards the center of my body and sharpening it that way, and then rotating 180 degrees, so now the cutting edge is actually towards my body, and doing the same process. Be applying more pressure at first on both sides, and then as I progress through, I'll be applying less and less pressure, and we'll see what happens. So I've got this pointed away. I don't know what the angle is. I mean, that's one of, I guess, the downsides about using the sharpener, is you really never know, what angle you're putting on your knife, and there's no way to do that manually, I suppose. But as long as the edge is extremely sharp, I don't know how much it really matters. For me, not so much. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be very insistent that they put the factory edge back on their knife, and that's fine too. I'm not a knife specialist. I'm an outdoorsman. I like to fish. I like to hunt. I like my knives to be useful. I like my kitchen knives to be sharp. I've thought about spending hundreds of dollars on electric sharpeners. I didn't. I almost did. Because I started to get so frustrated with this. But I just kept at it. And I think, again, if you're considering the Sharpens Spark, you need, or any Sharpens Best tool, there's going to be a learning curve, and you need just to be persistent, okay, and experiment. Buy cheap knives, work on cheap knives before you even think about putting an edge on a nice knife that you might own. Okay, don't give up on it. I'm a believer in this sharpener, and I get nothing from Brad Buckner for doing any of this, so I'm just somebody who actually likes to use this tool, and hopefully helping people who are considering to buy it, whether or not this is the right tool for them. So let me get started. So I'm applying a good bit of pressure here. I don't know how to describe how much, but it's enough that I can see that I'm removing some metal. It's just flakes. It's not metal shavings, I mean, it is shavings, but it's not a large amount of shavings. Just little particles. I can see it on my shorts. This is more pressure than I would want to apply if I were just trying to bring an edge back on this knife. But I can look and I can see that I'm removing metal off of the knife, and I can feel the imperfections on this blade. So again, you know, ideally what I'd like to do is take this onto a belt sander and really sand an edge back on it, but I don't have a belt sander, so I can't do that. As I get closer to the tip, draw that knife in towards my belly. I'm going to flip to the other side here. Putting this blade at a pretty shallow angle because it is a fillet knife, and you know, I guess typically this would be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 15-degree edge is what you would want to put on a fillet knife, 15 or 17, something in that range. I have no way of knowing if I'm at that particular angle or not, but all I know is I'm going to be able to put a really sharp edge on this knife, and that's what matters. So as I'm working this, I can feel as well that there's less and less resistance, so I can put less pressure now. Less pressure on the knife. Get right up to that tip and work that tip real nice. Less pressure. And you can see I'm really not, I mean, I just dropped the thing out of my hand. That's how little pressure I'm actually putting on the knife itself. I'm just going to check and see. Definitely getting sharp. And again, how I'm holding it. My finger on the top, thumb on the side, and the other finger is really just supporting. You know, in a lot of Brad Buckner's videos on YouTube, he talks about letting it work, not making it work. Well, at first I was making it work. You know, when I had to put an edge on this blade, it was so dull. I mean, I had to make it work. Brad might actually have something to say about that. But now I'm at a point where I'm definitely just, you know, I'm just letting it work. You know, I'm just kind of holding it in my hand and holding the sharpener at a 45-degree angle to the knife. That's amazingly sharp. There's still imperfections in the blade. Maybe they're actually more noticeable now than they were before, I don't know. One right here, you can see right there. Another one right there. And this knife really needs a lot of work. I'm going to take my honing stick from my cutlery set. I guess if there is a wire edge on here, this would help to remove it. Hone it even further. So from extremely dull to boom. Right down to the tip. How about down here at the belly, or at the bottom? How about the middle? Hey, I don't know, folks. I'm going to say I'm a big fan of the Sharpens best. It takes some time. It takes some practice. There's a feel. There's a feel to it. Once you get it and the light bulb comes on, you're going to say, "This thing's awesome." So that's what I have to say. Those are my thoughts on it. It's probably not for everybody, and I'm sure, you know, there's other methods that are going to work equally as well. But I'm a big fan. That's what I'll say about this. I'm a big fan, and I'll carry this with me. If you have any questions, comments, put them in the comments section. I'll respond when I can. Thanks.